take a look at this banner here in Des Moines, Iowa. It's actually brought from Florida. Showdown in the Hawkeye State. Tonight, the first major test for the Republican presidential hopefuls.
All of you have received a ballot.
In an election process strange to Florida voters, Iowa's caucuses played out as this one did in a Des Moines elementary school.
We're going to change the White House and get America back on track.
Game on.
Like Florida, South Carolina is a winner-take-all state. Did you change it?
Yeah, no, I didn't change. We got a new.
Rick Santorum was late to this rally at a Lexington smokehouse after his daughter's vehicle got 2 flat tires en route.
We are running on all 4 wheels.
South Carolina uses touchscreen voting machines instead of the paper ballots used in Florida.
I don't know if I would like paper or not. It would slow the process down.
Looking for economic hope in a state hit hard by recession. The former House Speaker made a remarkable surge. Perennial frontrunner Mitt Romney ends up in 2nd place in South Carolina.
Romney! You should hear him when we win, I'll tell you.
It happened just as Rick Santorum was wrapping up this town hall meeting.
Stop the hate! Stop the hate! Mic check! Mic check! No hate! No hate!
This is not the first time the Occupy movement has been pulling stunts like this.
Tonight on Rock Center, we look at a very important pathway through the state that will play a big role in November in selecting the next president.
Greg Fox is a political reporter for NBC affiliate WESH-TV in Orlando.
If you ignore the voters along that, you're in for a detour, and it could send you to a dead end.
1 in 4 Republican voters in Florida may have had little reason to watch the debate. They've already voted.
Grab a grandmother out and then kick them out?
The idea that I'm anti-immigrant is repulsive.
5 days left, no decision. What do they need to know about you in the next 5 days?
They need to know that we can win this race and to Florida give us a bump.
Now with a landslide victory in the Sunshine State, Romney is the clear front runner.
Thank you tonight for this great victory.
People united will never be defeated.
Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey made the case for replacing President Obama.
But our leaders today have decided it's more important to be popular.
I believe Ryan has a great agenda for that.
What is missing is leadership in the White House.
Go ahead.
So many Americans are hurting right now.
Mitt Romney offered a plan to create 12 million new jobs.
I wish President Obama had succeeded because I want America to succeed.
A big-time celebration on Labor Day here in downtown Charlotte.
We want you. Charlotte is a union town.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. He was able to put a tourniquet on that bleeding and begin to start to get things turned around.
Michelle Obama pulls it off with grace.
Being president doesn't change who you are. No, it reveals who you are.
Marianne Williams is a Seminole County delegate.
Everybody don't love Obama. I do.
Everyone here looking forward to seeing and hearing from former President Bill Clinton.
Are we better off than we were when he took office? Listen to this.
Former Governor Charlie Crist has been branded by some the chameleon of Florida politics.
Today's Republicans and their standard bearers, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, just aren't up to the task.
Minutes after his speech, I asked him about a potential run for public office again.
And the only thing I'm focused on is trying to help Barack Obama continue to be in the White House.
He also characterized Mitt Romney as someone who would gut the middle class.
Feel the cold coming on? Take 2 tax cuts, roll back some regulations, and call us in the morning.
Mac has been trying to steer legislative matters to benefit Chevron and a hedge fund that have contributed to Mac's campaign.
To vote for higher taxes 150 times is shocking.
That's just simply not true.
Did you hear him calling you a liar tonight?
Well, you heard him say over and over, saying that I'm not telling the truth.
Did you hear that tonight?
Well, what I heard was Senator Nelson running away from his record.
Sue McManus is a professor of politics at USF.
To win Florida, which is critical to winning the White House, has to carry those independents.
But we can't kill our way out of this mess.
Governor Romney, I'm glad that you recognize that al-Qaeda is a threat.
With the debates out of the way, now the candidates will focus on the swing states, especially Florida.
WESH 2 News is your main source for political news. Now that the election is just 4 days away and early voting is wrapping up Saturday, you need to know where to go to find information on the candidates, races, and amendments. Here's WESH 2 political reporter Greg Fox to help you navigate WESH.com.
Okay, so you've just decided to open up that sample ballot that's been sitting in your house for a few weeks, and the election's coming up on Tuesday, and you're not exactly sure who you're voting for in local races. You don't know anything about the 11 amendments on the ballot? No worries. We're going to take you inside WESH.com. Okay, so this is what our website looks like on the front page of WESH.com. Right there along the black banner at the top of the page, you see Commitment 2012. Click on it. We've got a lot of national politics on this page, but part of the way down the page, you see right there, Local Elections, Commitment 2012. Click on it. And right there, under election headlines, you see a column of local election reports, including all of the material from our daily half-hour live political program, Commitment 2012 Extra. Just click on a race in your area, and you can watch dozens of video recordings of debates in state House and Senate races, sheriff and state attorney races, congressional races, our breakdown of the amendments on the ballot, the local Seminole County school tax referendum, one-on-one candidate interviews, and political analysis of the presidential race in Florida. You can also click on one of our exclusive truth tests of political attack ads, where I dig into the claims and confirm the facts. Did Bill Nelson make money selling the land for some homes? The truth meter rings true. And expose the distortions and outright lies. Let's bring up the truth meter. Did Karen Castor Dental use our children's class time and our taxes to schedule campaign press interviews? The truth meter rings false. In all, we have more than a month's worth of local programs that zero in on local races that touch every county in Central Florida. It's just a click away on WESH.com under Commitment 2012. I'm Greg Fox reporting.
All new tonight, WESH 2 News goes right to the source, getting answers from a local leader we exposed in an exclusive investigation. Good evening. I'm Jim Payne.
I'm Martha Sagowski. WESH 2 uncovered records showing Orange County Commissioner Jennifer Thompson repeatedly sent and received texts from a Disney lobbyist opposed to the county's sick pay proposal.
These text messages came during the final emotional public debate. All new tonight, WESH 2's Greg Fox pushes the investigation forward, confronting Commissioner Thompson in a one-on-one interview you'll see only on WESH 2.
Can you say definitively that your friend, a lobbyist, was not trying to steer the conversation and influence your vote?
I can say that definitively.
Orange County Commissioner Jennifer Thompson told me she was not playing dirty politics by communicating from her commission chair with a Disney World lobbyist the night she and 3 other commissioners
Opposed? No.
voted to delay putting the sick time measure on the November ballot. Our WESH 2 News investigation reveals that during the 6 hours of final debate, Thompson and a lobbyist for one of the sick pay measure's biggest opponents, Disney, exchanged 32 text messages. The lobbyist is Sharon Smoley, the same woman who visited the mayor and every single commissioner, a source tells us, to talk about sick pay. Thompson describes Smoley as a close friend and says the texts were not about business. A Disney spokesman backed that up in this statement. No, Sharon was not doing lobbying business with Commissioner Thompson that day. We can't prove or disprove any of that because she deleted every message.
Can you tell us when you deleted those messages? What day and what time?
It was as I receive messages, I delete them as I go. I don't keep a log of anything unless I need to save it.
The sick pay group isn't buying it.
The public records request was put in at 10 a.m. the next morning. That takes the county more than a week to even acknowledge it. And here we go, missing text messages.
Is a text message a public record? From the First Amendment Foundation, a text message is a public document and one that should be preserved and provided to the public upon request. According to a text message communication I received from a spokesman for Mayor Teresa Jacobs, he says all of the concerns about deleted emails and whether true public records were destroyed will likely lead to a move by the county to capture and log official text messages. Greg Fox, WESH 2 News.
Tonight, messages recovered. A look at the conversation Mayor Teresa Jacobs was having during that September 11th meeting. WESH 2's Greg Fox here with more of what he's learned.
And these are the text messages originally the mayor told us were deleted and unretrievable, lost for good. But after our public records request, she recovered them and provided them to us. And some of these messages tell a key part of the story that night a proposed referendum for the November ballot effectively died.
I would hope that if you truly believe in your core principles, that you will apply them all the time.
As Orange County's mayor appeared to be listening during the September 11th sick pay debate, she was also getting advice from a close friend. He's Kevin Shaughnessy, a lawyer who was Teresa Jacobs' first choice for county attorney before he turned the job down. He has worked in the past for Disney, an opponent of the sick pay measure. After a WESH 2 News records request, the mayor provided her deleted text messages from that day. There are 78 in all, 14 between Shaughnessy and Jacobs. That's more than the mayor texted back and forth to her own staff attorney. That morning, Shaughnessy, appearing neutral, wrote, "You simply have to place the initiative proposal on the ballot if there are enough signatures." But during the debate, he wrote, "Take a break. You want the county attorney to review the new ballot language, to study it." Was he coaching the mayor to talk with other commissioners about delaying a vote on the measure? From Shaughnessy, who must have been watching the meeting, "Not quite clear what you're saying." From Jacobs, "This is so bizarre. Please help me with a written explanation of my position. This is most distressful to me."
This is unfortunate, but we're going to fix it and it's not going to happen again.
Jacobs told me this week our investigation of deleted text messages, a potential violation of the law that protects public records, is prompting her to have her technical staff devise a program to preserve text messages for all county-provided cell phones. Our investigation also revealed Commissioner Jennifer Thompson texted back and forth to a Disney lobbyist during the sick pay hearing and then deleted those 32 messages. Representatives from both Disney and Kevin Shaughnessy's office both say there was no working relationship between the two. From Mayor Jacobs today, Kevin Shaughnessy has advised me on a variety of issues for many years. I make no apology for seeking his counsel. He has never lobbied me on this issue. We are still waiting for the deleted text messages from all of the commissioners from the day of the sick pay initiative. WESH 2 News has just received some of the paperwork from Orange County on a public records request. These were for text messages to and from commissioners and staffers. We've learned a local lobbyist was in communication with the board about that very issue. He's Tom Wilkes, a registered lobbyist and former county attorney. He sent the current county attorney an email that morning suggesting the head of the citizens group might suggest other alternatives and further indicating the group might want the commissioners to correct and adopt proper ballot language. Thompson's assistant told me the commissioner was unavailable for comment on the destruction of text messages which, if deemed public records, could be a violation of state law.
Were you texting lobbyists?
No, I was not texting lobbyists. No one was giving me any advice as far as what I was going to do.
But Boyd, hours after that interview, told me he misspoke, admitting he exchanged messages with 4 lobbyists, including the same Disney lobbyist who was also texting Commissioner Jennifer Thompson during that same meeting. One series of texts from Orange County Republican Executive Committee Chair Lou Oliver prove he had prior conversations with other commissioners about devising a way to stall or kill the sick time initiative. About an hour and a half before the public hearing began, Oliver texted Edwards, quote, "To reconfirm for today, 1, Commissioner Fred Brummer will make a motion to continue on various grounds, including confusion." That's exactly what Brummer did hours later. Oliver continues, Commissioners John Martinez or Jennifer Thompson will second. Martinez actually did second the motion. The county attorney will agree you have that right. Oliver later said Brummer told him the county attorney agreed. Oliver finished by saying, "The latest petitioner brief today actually demands that the BCC change the language because it's bad and needs to be fixed. This is like handing you the justification on a silver platter."
Was there coordination on part of lobbyists and commissioners to make that happen?
Our WESH 2 News investigation now reveals new paperwork turned over by Commissioner Fred Brummer, in which he says he texted 3 lobbyists for Universal, SeaWorld, and Darden restaurants and called 2 others. We previously uncovered evidence proving Commissioners Jennifer Thompson and Scott Boyd also texted messages to lobbyists for groups opposing the sick pay vote. All 3 voted to delay putting the measure on the ballot this year.
These public officials are not above the law.
It's embarrassing for us to have not paid attention, especially to our constituents.
This whole thing has been a black eye for most of the commissioners.
Destruction of a public record is a crime. Under the Florida Secretary of State's rules for records retention, printouts of electronic communications, email, instant messaging, text messaging are acceptable in place of electronic files. So why aren't prosecutors investigating Thompson and other public officials when text messages are destroyed? From State Attorney Lawson Lamar's office, quote, "The issue of text messages in their digital form and the requirement for mandatory retention will ultimately have to be settled with either new legislation or a new Attorney General's opinion." 3 minutes. That's what each member of the public gets when they address commissioners in this chamber. But because of texting going on between lobbyists and commissioners, those people of influence were getting a whole lot more time.
I don't want them to have any reason to question whether I'm following the rules.
Mayor Jacobs has come up with new texting rules, not just for county-provided phones. It reads, county business transacted on a personal mobile device is subject to disclosure under the Public Records Law.
Sounds like a job for the exclusive West 2 Truth Test and political reporter Greg Fox.
In this tough economy, he alone had the gall to raise taxes and fees 11 different times.
You probably missed the split-second opening shot that reads, "The following preview has been rated T for taxes." Funny stuff. That's the theme of this new ad from former Congressman Alan Grayson. The Democrat is trying to influence the Republican primary, and it appears he's worried about Osceola County Commission Chairman John Quinones in Congressional District 9, where 41% of the population is Latino. First, Grayson says Quinones alone raised taxes and fees. The West 2 News Truth Meter rings false. No elected leader can raise taxes alone. That takes majority votes.
The nerve to create a new tax on 911 calls.
This claim addresses 2 bills involving emergency communications and how to pay for it. One of them called for a 911 surcharge of 50 cents per month. It was for prepaid wireless customers who before then did not pay any tax on emergency telephone services, like most of us. Quinones, a state lawmaker in 2003, voted yes. So did nearly every other House member, including Democrats. But in fact, it was a new tax, so the truth meter rings true. The second bit of mega fine print cites the Wireless Emergency Telephone Systems Bill. Once again, Quinones and all but one lawmaker voted yes, but this measure actually freed state and local governments from paying 911 fees. Even the staff analysis concluded the addition of taxes and fees was none. So this portion of the claim about Quinones creating a new tax on 911 calls is false.
The arrogance to raise taxes on gas.
Not gasoline, folks. Take a look. The claim is for natural gas. It points to a bill that dealt with utility services taxes that were already in place, a 2.5% tax. But companies were dodging the tax by purchasing natural gas outside the state. Quinones and all but 2 others voted yes to bring about some tax fairness. But the bottom line is it did generate $1.1 million a year more in taxes, and consumers picked up the tab. On that tax-raising claim against Quinones, the truth meter rings true.
And the audacity to raise property taxes 20% in just 1 year.
Let's bring up the truth meter. Did Quinones and the Osceola County Commission vote to raise taxes? True, but 20%? False. Property appraiser Katrina Scarborough tells me, quote, "I think the statement is unfair. The property tax millage increased by 15%.
Now, John Q wants to go to Congress, and no one is safe.
Well, of course John Q wants to go to Congress. True. But no one is safe? I don't know. Feel pretty safe. Let's call that statement false.
John Quinones is the tax man.
Quinones, who is seen here wearing a traditional Puerto Rican hat called a pava, would say Grayson is grasping at straws. But it's worth pointing out on Quinones' own website, he says he's, quote, consistently opposed tax increases. As we've just shown you, that's not always the case. With the Truth Test, I'm Greg Fox.
Congressman Dan Webster is taking a beating in a new attack ad that claims he wasted your taxpayer money. Political reporter Greg Fox examines the accusations in our exclusive WESH 2 Truth Test.
Welcome to Dan Webster's Lobbyist Lounge.
When you first see this commercial, it looks like Republican Congressman Dan Webster spent your money on a special hideout for those secret agents of political manipulation.
Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred.
But even 007 didn't have widescreen TVs in the mid-90s when Webster became Florida House Speaker. On the Truth Meter, we'll grade the imagery in this ad false.
As Speaker, Dan Webster spent 100,000 taxpayer dollars redecorating his office, building a lounge for lobbyists.
This commercial comes to us from Washington Democrats who are trying to help Val Demings defeat Webster. Now, did Dan Webster spend taxpayer money to make changes after Democrats had occupied the Speaker's office for more than a century? True, he did. But did he spend $100,000 to add a lobbyist lounge? False. No room was added. It was a converted office. In fact, we have a photo of what it looks like today. An office about the size of a small bedroom. And get this, according to the Orlando Sentinel, Webster's Democratic predecessor, Speaker Pete Wallace, spent $2 million to renovate his office. The Sentinel also reported that Webster cut the Speaker's office staff. He spent just over $400,000 on salaries compared to $644,000 by Wallace. That saved taxpayers more than $238,000.
Spiral staircase, sofas, TVs, cozy, like Dan Webster's relationship with lobbyists.
Deception alert. That spiral staircase looks pretty dramatic, but that's not what the stairs look like, and it was not in any lounge. The iron staircase was built to connect the Speaker's office with the Majority Leader's office. It cost about $30,000 taxpayer dollars, but is now in a closet because Marco Rubio, our current U.S. Senator, removed it during his own $500,000 renovation when he was House Speaker. And by the way, according to a Democratic lobbyist and a Tallahassee reporter who's been covering politics for decades, Webster installed the staircase not to get cozy with lobbyists, but to avoid them and reporters. And the lounge was for former Republican leaders to watch House activities on TV.
Webster accepted over $81,000 from lobbyists.
Did Webster accept $81,000 from lobbyists? True. In fact, more than that during his 2 congressional campaigns. But according to Open Secrets, which tracks campaign contributions, Demings has received more than Webster this year from lawyers and lobbyists. $70,000 for her, $45,000 for Webster.
And last March, Webster was caught cozying up to them at a Key Largo resort. Dan Webster and lobbyists, a little too cozy.
This claim refers to a CBS News report in which Webster and other freshman members of Congress were caught on video during a political fundraising trip with lobbyists. Was Webster there at the same time with the lobbyists? According to CBS, it's true. I asked Webster about that, and he claimed he simply went fishing with his sons and had no contact with lobbyists.
We ate our own meals. We didn't eat with lobbyists. I ate at Subway with my sons. We went on a fishing boat. The fishing boat contained no lobbyists. It was just us.
Whether or not you believe that is up to you. With the Truth Test, I'm Greg Fox.
You're watching a special edition of WESH 2 News. Commitment 2012 Extra.
For the next month, WESH 2 will give you critical insight into the 2012 election.
And these are the men battling in the House District 29 race in Seminole County.
Your policies are hurting our schools, weakening our communities, and endangering my future. When is it going to stop, Mr. Dorworth?
When your parents stop sending me back to Tallahassee.
Chris Dorworth, unfair swipe or right on the money?
Again, this is politics time, you know.
I would ask Mr. Dorworth how he reconciles this gutting of public education.
There's a lot of language I would say we're gutting this. It's not true. It's an inaccurate statement.
Everything that I've done has been from zero on up, while he married into millions. But let's get back to the real issues here.
When you look at campaign finance records and see that you put $200,000 into your own campaign, that more of his money has come from people, not from his own.
But I will tell you this.
People would say, are you trying to buy a seat because you can afford to?
Absolutely not. And I'll tell you this, is he trying to live off his campaign?
These are key things that when you're not a millionaire, you regularly use on the campaign trail.
But it's illegal. And where are your banks?
Sorry, I don't have $1 million in my account.
Do you have a bank? Do you have a bank account? Do you have a bank account?
Yes, and it's got.
You have a bank account, but you did not list it here.
And here you are trying to talk about all these other issues. Folks care about jobs. Have a
legislature
of millionaires.
Hold on.
Let's
Let's talk about this as an issue.
jobs.
Education.
Scott Plakin sold our kids out.
And that ad, I think it is not quite accurate.
Do you stand by that ad?
I
from your
stand by
party?
that ad.
Worse, his stubborn search for higher taxes made Volusia counties the second highest in Florida.
Stand by every claim made in that ad?
This was not something that my campaign originally put forward.
We're 42nd in the state of Florida, so it's all deception and it's all lies.
Lower taxes for wealthy snowbirds, higher property taxes for Florida residents.
One night he was paying the property tax bill on our small business and poof, his asset was gone.
It was taxed off.
Exactly.
Tired of getting your assets taxed off?
So there is not a property tax problem in Florida, and there are statistics that show that.
Are we being overtaxed?
I think most people would say they are being overtaxed.
It's called the tangible personal property tax exemption.
Take out the loopholes so that all of us can pay less, not just special interest groups.
It sounds like she's saying that it shouldn't have been in there in the first
Correct.
place.
You know, Deidre said that it's going down a bad road to give small businesses a tax break. I don't think that's ever the case, and it's certainly not the case in this economy.
As this is from Restore Justice, the group that is looking to remove these 3 justices from the bench.
These justices have also opposed patients' rights, undermined property rights, education, and fair elections.
Is there any reason to remove any one or all of these 3 justices?
The idea that anyone is offended that they have to justify their continued sitting on the bench is wrong.
Legislators are offended that the court overturned them, so they're now trying to reach into the bowels of the judiciary and politicize the judiciary, which I think is wrong.
Romney talked about the so-called apology tour that he's brought up several times in the past. I'm going to show you this clip. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Mr. President, America has not dictated to other nations. We have freed other nations from dictators.
Starting with this notion of me apologizing. This has been probably the biggest whopper that's been told during the course of this campaign.
Bob Poe, apology tour.
It was simply stating the fact that it wasn't true. You can't cite a quote where he said he apologized.
Where you don't go around apologizing to your enemies for your behavior.
We look at that exchange as they talked about that last night.
This year, you have one of the worst voting records. In fact, last year I cast 430 votes. You cast less than 200. Senator Nelson, you've got a lot of explaining to do.
What kind of explaining does he have to do?
Senator Nelson has a 92% voting record. Connie Mack has a 94% voting record.
It was clear Connie Mack was trying to debate based upon one-liners and his father's name.
You're watching Commitment 2012 Extra.